Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. This is Brett West, Rodney West, Jack Lord, and we're going to be telling you a little bit about professional wrestling, what's going on, our top tag teams. I think we're at what number are we at this week?
18.
Number 18. We'll tell everybody that. Get yours together and send it over to us. I want to take the opportunity right now to thank some of our supporters. They supported us this week when they watched our videos, and I want to thank them so much. Daniel Lang, he gave us 200 stars. Wendy Harkins, 200 stars. Paul Ante, 200 stars. Richard Hood, 200 stars. And Rick Brooks, 200 stars. It goes a long way for what we want to do in the future right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. So thank you so much for supporting our channel. Jack, what's going on in the world of professional wrestling and ratings this week?
Ratings, all but one show was down slightly in the ratings. And believe it or not, the one show that came up was still the lowest rating show of all of them. And that was AEW Rampage, was up to 435,000. Raw was down slightly to 1.735. SmackDown was down slightly to 2.077. Dynamite did 942,000. NXT 582,000.
Wow. Wow. You know, we were talking about before we went on the air. It's television ratings just down because there's so much to watch. Does it really have anything to do with the wrestling not good? Because the current people who watch wrestling, do they really know if it's good or not? Because they have nothing really to watch back and say, hey, this was what was good in the 70s and 80s.
I think that, and I had just mentioned before we come on that I just finished reading Lou Thesz's book, and he predicted the downfall of actual real professional wrestling back in the 40s, because he said in the late 40s after the war was when promoters started going to more theatrical type wrestlers. That you didn't have to have real skill anymore. They were looking at folks that could add that entertainment. He's called it sports entertainment, even back then.
Wow.
So it's changed so much. Uh, and I remember, and I've talked about this before, where when I first met him in 1985, he told me that he didn't care about the modern product. That he didn't think there had really been any good professional wrestling since the 50s. And I thought, well, the wrestling I grew up on in the 60s and 70s, I thought was great because that's what I grew up on. So now, in today's world, what they've grown up on is a lot of them don't even remember the Monday Night Wars. They were born after that. So while we have that frame of reference and we can look back over the last 50 or more years, just from personal standpoint, a lot of the fans nowadays, they didn't become fans till the 90s or maybe the 2000s or maybe just in the last few years. So the product they're seeing now in their mind is the best out there. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It's all a matter of perspective.
Yeah, I agree with that. And we were talking about CSI. They had a new version of CSI Vegas. Brought back two of the characters, or maybe three or four of the characters that had been on the original show. And in 2000, when it came on the air, it was 20 million viewers. They only hit 3.2 million at the top. I think one episode they hit 4.2 million. It just shows that it's so fragmented now that it's so hard to be able to reach everybody and let them know that it's even on anymore. I was in the process of doing a market, and I found out there was no really way to advertise to be able to get the people out there on a on a weekly basis because it's so fragmented. You cannot reach them. So, is that what's happening in professional wrestling or any show for that matter? They just can't reach the people anymore because used to there were three channels and you could reach them through that.
Well, and remember now, it's not just a matter of TV, which has exploded. We grew up 3, 4 channels. When we were growing up, Now there's, even on my cable based package, I get like 200 channels. There's so much to choose from. But now that you add in social media, and there's thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of choices out there. So it divides your attention. My 12-year-old daughter, she likes wrestling, but the only thing she will watch with me is wrestling. Everything else she watches, off YouTube, off her different channels that she watches. There's such a broad base out there. While we're still watching CSI, she's out there expanding well beyond our reach.
Jason Monday, thank you so much. He gave us 200 stars. We certainly do appreciate that. Rodney, what's going on in the world of professional wrestling? What have you seen? What's happening in your world when it considers wrestling?
Well, again, we have to go to Marco Stunt for our thought of the week.
We have to.
He says that his previous employers hung up on WWE wrestlers like a drug. Yes, and I agree. He has to be on drugs to give the pit money to those people for that reason. But yes, he's upset about that. Or not upset, but he was commenting on that he felt like and if he would try to go through the process, everybody knows the way to AEW money now. You have to go to Vince and work for WWE first, and then you're going to get the money. That's how you get it. I mean, how it's the map is clear, Marco. Go work at WWE. Maybe they need somebody to put the ring up. Maybe they need somebody to, hold the camera cables. No, they don't have cable most of them. Or maybe to run, maybe some cables through or something, clean up the buildings or something like that.
Are they cableless now? They don't have cables no more.
I don't think they have cables on the cameras anymore.
I haven't seen anybody choked by a cable in a while.
So they have. Okay, Rodney, anything going on? Mickey Mayfield, thank you so much for 200 stars as well. We appreciate that as well. And it'll take me a while to get to people, but thank you so much for it. Let me ask you a question that's going on in the world of wrestling. Does Vince McMahon does he bow out in the next few weeks completely?
I don't know that it'll be the next few weeks. I think that the investigation is going to have to be completed. I have heard that there's more stories coming out. Maybe more payments, not as large as $7.5 million for that one single payout, but still, there's other things out there. HBO Sports, Brian Gumbel, whatever that program is he hosts on there, they are currently working on an expose about Vince, and they're trying to contact as many former female wrestlers as possible before they, air their story. So there's still a lot to come. Now, how much pressure Vince can take, we all know he's pretty tough. He's pretty good at ignoring stuff, and we've talked in the past few weeks about it's really not a matter of stubborn and riding out the storm. It's a matter of TV deals, sponsorships. How much pressure are they going to start putting on WWE? And when you still own 80% of the voting shares, it's going to have to be something of that nature to force him out. The board is not going to be able to do it on their own.
Rodney, what's your thoughts on Vince McMahon and the problems they have in that company?
It as Jack was saying, it all depends on the deals that are coming up, the TV. If USA and Fox say he has to go, then yeah, he has to go. But as far as still owning the company, you can't take that away from him. He is the owner. He owns it. It's kind of like my phone. You cannot take my phone away from me, or my home. You can't take it away from me. He owns it. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that other stockholders don't force to sell, or SEC tries to make him sell. But right now, he owns it. It's his, and it all comes down to he's got to make that decision whether he steps away or not.
Honestly, I think at this point, a lot of people would just be happy if it retained ownership but stepped away from any and all responsibilities.
Sure, and that could be the way it ends up with Stephanie and Triple H running everything, and Vince taking time chasing girls on the beach.
With his checkbook.
That's right. He'll take over where the $1 million man left over. Come over here. I'll give you a couple of $1,000 and you can experience what it is to be on a WWE TV program.
Okay, here's another thing that was going on in the news, and then we'll get to the top tag teams in professional wrestling. But here's something else that came in the news: is the TVPG rating. Do they really think that's going to make a difference in ratings, though? I mean, I don't know. Does that, Rodney? Does that make a difference? I mean, is this? I mean, will it make a difference in ratings? I just don't know that it would.
No, it's not going to make a lick of difference. All it's going to do is lower the standard. They'll change whatever demographic they have to a more male, between 13 and 30, and that's going to be their demographic. From what I understand, it's all about language. They had censored something that Brock Lesnar had said. They bleeped it out. USA did. Of course, after the change comes out, they're going to let it go through. It doesn't seem to help AEW. So I don't assume that it's going to help them, because it's not really about what they're saying. It's the product that they're putting out, more or less. And like I said last week, I said, boy, the ratings are going to shoot through the roof now. We're going to get to some profanity, and that's going to be the main thing that's going to bring them in.
Here's the question I have to ask, Jack. And Eric Bischoff made a point to say that people said that the reason they're going to this PG 13 is because of AEW, and he said no. I will not repeat what he said about a plate and some urination. But let me ask you this: did they change it because of AEW, or is it just something that that Triple H and Stephanie, they want to make it more of a hard hitting wrestling instead of comedy?
Yeah, I think that it would be more of a turn towards more serious type storylines. I mean, that's my hope, because we're right. If AEW was owned to something, and if language meant ratings increase, WWE would follow suit in a heartbeat. They would, but that's not what it's doing for AEW. So they already see that, hey, we've got twice as much of an audience, sometimes more, and we've got into the billions of hits on our social media that AEW has next to nothing. So, if they're not doing what we're doing as far as numbers, then they're not going to emulate them in any way. So no, I don't think that's it. I think that's more of a, hopefully, more of a move towards more serious programming, which is something that we, the three of us, have mentioned since day one. That's what's missing in this industry.
Charles Alford, thank you so much. He sent us 200 stars as well. By the way, that is a new thing. I didn't understand what Facebook stars was. They just said, listen, you're going to be able to do this now. People will be able to support you. A very easy way for people to support you, and it's not expensive. I don't know. I think 200 stars might be $1. I don't really, maybe it's $2. I'm not for sure how much they are. But we do appreciate people doing it, because it will go to upgrading what we're doing here and doing some other stuff. Let me ask y'all this. I got to ask one more question about Ring of Honor, about AEW. Why are they doing pay-per-views for Ring of Honor when they have no television program to build toward something for Ring of Honor? I just didn't understand that.
Well, supposedly, rumor has it they're supposed to unveil a plan at their next pay-per-view, Ring of Honor pay-per-view, of where they're going to be either have a TV outlet or a streaming outlet for them. They have been in talks with, is it Warner Media that owns HBO now, I believe? uh, about actually doing a show there. Uh, and that's a very viable alternative. I think it would help HBO, bring a few wrestling fans on board. Not a whole lot, but I think it would help Ring of Honor to be on there, especially. Now, in the same vein, Netflix is fixing to start carrying a live version of Ohio Valley Wrestling. So that's a big deal. I mean, we're talking about worldwide access, to a wrestling product. So I think that'll be a kick in the pants for them to elevate them up the ladder. And they have a good show.
Sean Smith, we were talking about the PG-13. Sean Smith said we're getting puppies back.
Very possible. It's very possible because I believe Vince approached some of the women, like that's a surprise, about dressing a little more provocatively on the program.
I'm going to be honest. I think that would backfire in today's cancel
Yeah.
culture climate. I believe that would take a
Well,
wrong turn. Very
Bianca was selling it last week. I mean, last night on the program, she had a new outfit, and boy, you could tell it. Out there with Bathroom Becky, and it's just fantastic.
Oh, and real quick before we go, Sasha Banks has her first appearance. I believe it's not till later this year, and asking $30,000 per appearance.
Well, and I the thing about it what made that better was if you had said only $30,000. A lot better. I have to say. Let me say this. I was shocking. I do shop at the Dollar General. And a gentleman there is he was in the wrestling business or still in the wrestling business on occasion, and he had mentioned to me that he thought that SummerSlam sales were dismal. I got a report this past week that as of July the 17th, they had sold 30,833 seats and only had 6,500 to go in 2 weeks. I don't think that's bad.
No,
I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty decent. So the idea that they're losing their appeal to sell to the audience, a large audience, is that they're already putting the demise of WWE before they've got them in the ground yet, because it's not going anywhere yet. That is quite impressive, if you ask me. And I did hear.
Go ahead.
He was. He was I don't know if he was celebrating it or not, but it just seems like that, he's put the horse before the cart. I don't think Vince McMahon and our WWE is going anywhere anytime soon.
Now go ahead, Jack.
Yeah, well, while we're talking about SummerSlam weekend, that also coincides with Starrcast, Ric Flair's last match, and they revealed last night that the Ric Flair match would consist of he and his son-in-law, Andrade El Idolo, against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
Wow.
And Karen Jarrett, I believe.
Karen Jarrett will be.
Did you see Ric Flair get beat up in the parking lot?
I just saw a bit of a highlight of that.
Yeah, Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Karen Jarrett all beat him up. Some I guess his driver was being stopped by Karen. I wanted her to put the boots to him, but that didn't happen. So, and I thought it'd be great he could be at the ringside with them. Let's go now to top tag teams in professional wrestling. My pick this week is the Hart Foundation. Bret the Hitman Hart, Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I thought they were a great tag team. They knew tag team wrestling. They understood it. And I always thought they were good at what they did. Rodney, your team this week.
Mine will beat yours any day of the week. Ken Lucas and Ricky Morton is my team this week.
Yeah, there we go.
They were awesome. I mean, again, Ricky Morton, he did what he did best. And Ken came in clean house. Tremendous team. Yeah, they have the opportunity to see it. A lot of Southwest has Ricky Morton, and Ken Lucas gets grapplers. Just some really great stuff.
I'm going to tell you right now, that Ricky Morton stole a lot of stuff from Ken.
Yes,
Lucas.
He did. Yes.
A lot of stuff from him. I I believe Robert Gibson's birthday was today. Am I right?
He
Jack?
is. He is 64 today, which finally makes him a year older than me. I texted him this morning and told him that now he's ready for the nursing home, to which he thanked me 4 different times. So I don't know
Oh.
if that was all intended for me, or if he's getting so old he forgot.
Very possible.
I saw a photograph of Bill Dundee. He was somewhere that Ricky Morton was this week. I guess Robert Gibson might have been there as well. Bill Dundee still looked pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, he's let his hair go gray now, but I think he's 76 years old and still looked really good.
Yeah, show in
so-
Mississippi, as a matter of fact.
Where was it at?
Somewhere in Mississippi.
Yeah, it looked very good. It was good to see superstar Bill Dundee, one of the greatest in-ring performers, wrestlers of all time. He could get out there and do it with the best, and no matter what, drew a lot of money in Memphis, Tennessee. Him and Jerry Lawler both drew a lot of money in Memphis. All right, Jack, your tag team this week.
My tag team, one of these guys actually made my list twice. The only one to do that. But at number 18 is Ivan and Nikita Koloff.
Yes, they were so good, and I never realized how good Nikita was. He was really good. Go back and watch him now. He was so good.
I will agree with that. And honestly, had we not done this series a year or so ago of going back and looking at them, I probably would not have put Nikita on this list. But when we went back, you can see not only how good he was from the beginning, but how good he got as he progressed along.
We also saw Tully Blanchard in a different light when we went back and watched it. Now, folks, if you've not seen it, we went back and we did some reviews of World Championship Wrestling, and it is on our YouTube page. I think it's under World Championship Wrestling. I think a playlist is World Championship Wrestling. You go through and watch. You can watch every one of them. But we talked about how good Tully Blanchard was, and how really he was better than Ric Flair in that instance. As far as when he went and wrestled somebody, he did something different every time he went out there, and just had some tremendous matches. Tully Blanchard, probably in my list of top 100 wrestlers, I believe I'd move him down further now because of how good he was during this time. Now, I think personality-wise, he might be in the top 10, not the nicest people in the world. Things I never even talked to Tully Blanchard ever in my life, so I don't know if he was that way or not. Let's talk about. Well, I guess we better get to the insiders. They've got some stuff to say. We'll get to my next question if we get to. I will get to my next question here in a minute. David Vice said he was ready for a great show. Well, we will try to deliver. Jason Mundy is with us. Hello, hi everyone. I hope everyone is well. We're doing good. Richard Hood is with us. David Bowen was the real superstar, aka Jack Boyd.
Are you talking about the mass superstar? Because that was Bill Eadie.
Yeah. I don't know if I heard of Jack Boyd. Mickey Mayfield, let's go. Dr. Phil Ballgrass is with us as well. Hello, gentlemen. Wendy Harkins, evening everyone. Hope everyone is doing good. Danny Hester, also hello to all. Stuart Kemp, he always has some great questions and great stuff for us. He says, hello all. I head to George Tragos Lou Thesz Hall of Fame in Waterloo, Iowa, in the morning for the weekend. The Cauliflower Alley Club in Las Vegas is September 26th through the 30th. Is that available for fans to go, or is that's just for wrestlers, right?
I think the Cauliflower Alley Club is actually open for some fans now too. All
right, so if it's open to fans, if you live in the Las Vegas area, or you're just going to go on vacation. Look that up. Look at that. It's the Las Vegas Plaza Hotel, September 26th through the 30th. I think the Wrestling Hall of Fame that was in Texas is having some difficulties right now. Is it, Jack?
Difficulties as in they are shut down. There's currently a GoFundMe because there's a lady that is working very diligently to try to pack up and either return items or send to the International Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame They're requesting some items. It's not a good situation, but hopefully they're going to be able to salvage everything there, and no part of our history gets lost.
It's very difficult to keep things going today. It costs so much money to do anything. It's hard to reach. We talked about this being. It's hard to reach people. It's really sad that we've got the advertisers, a bit of advertised people. We fragmented it so much. It's very hard to reach people, and it's a sad situation. Kevin Penley said, "Where is everybody?" Well, we're over here at Facebook. You're at YouTube. Well, we're actually at both. We're actually at both. We're back actually right now on YouTube and Facebook at the same time.
I know what he was talking about, because when we first started, there's only 13 people here, and now it's gone to where it's normally at. So it could have been just it didn't register quick in the beginning.
Mickey Mainfield, so Flair, Andrade versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett. Not really thrilling to me. How about you? Well, you didn't see him get jumped in the parking lot. That sealed the deal for me. And you didn't see him bleeding. Ric Flair. What's it, Rodney? Let me ask you. Did you see it?
I'm glad I haven't. Honestly,
was it necessary?
That was absolutely not necessary. Somebody's a little bit they're desperate, and that's what it looks like, just an act of desperation. With Flair and Jarrett, they can talk people, and in Jay Lethal and through interpreter Andrade, can all talk people into the seats. You know what I'm saying? And my understanding is Charlotte going to be there as well? Charlotte Flair going to be at that show as well?
I don't know. I do know that Jeff Jarrett, I think, actually is going to be at SummerSlam, correct?
He is the special wrestler. Oh, go ahead, Jack. Go ahead.
He is.
How did that take place?
Well, he's not under a wrestler's contract with WWE, so he can still take outside bookings, and I'm sure he got permission, to do this. But he is the director of live events, I believe, for WWE.
I am seeing some traditional wrestling influence there. I don't know if you're catching it or not, but I am beginning to see some classic wrestling stuff materialize on the shows. I'm not sure if you're picking up on it, but there is some, and I'm just wondering if that's the Jeff Jarrett influence on the show.
David Bice, Tojo Yamamoto, and Wildfire Tommy Rich. Fire him up, Tommy Rich. Let's go, Arbor Bear. Tommy Rich. You know what? Every time we post something on Tommy Rich on the Facebook page, always huge. This shows what a star Tommy Rich was, and doesn't get the credit and the respect he deserves.
Does not.
And I know that he was a rebel. He'll tell you he was a rebel.
Is that what you call it?
Yeah. But he was a person who drew a lot of money and was a very good wrestler. He was good at what he did. He was believable. My number 18, the Dudley Boys from Mickey Mayfield. All right, now we're going to talk. I'm going to make sure that ain't nothing. He says Zeus Dragon. He says, and he tells us, "Hello, I am Zeus Dragon."
Yes, he does.
I am recreating the history of wrestling from 1943 to today in WWE. And he says he's doing the 2K22 on PlayStation, and I'm researching wrestling. Well, help with tape.
Awesome.
Welcome.
Awesome. And welcome. And you research it enough, get in touch with
You know, I want to get back to this TV 13 one. Just, I don't want to start nothing, as you know. But let's go back to the great interviews of our day. Dusty Rhodes. All right, think about how did Dusty have to use profanity to get over what he needed to? Roddy Piper, Michael Hayes, Bill Eadie, as we just superstar Billy Graham, Bruno Sammartino. Did they have to do that? No, they didn't. And so, I mean, just think about the great interviews. And if you ever want to know just how great Piper was, Don't pay attention to Piper in the interview. Just go back to Georgia Championship Wrestling and watch Gordon Solie. Watch Gordon Solie. His face will tell you if this is good or not. And you're sitting there and he has a slight smile on his face while Piper's doing his stuff. And it was really, really classic stuff. And those things, the difference between what they did then and what they do now today is written word for word. And what Piper did was done all spontaneous. This was all him.
You know, when you talk about Thunderbolt Patterson, to me was always the greatest example. He did not ever say a cuss word, but he would stop himself right before, and if you knew what that cuss word was in your mind, you knew what to put in there. But he never said it because he never had to. He had such passion with what he's doing, and that's what we're missing today. No passion.
If you go back, you know, and Zeus Dragon right here researching wrestling, researching 1943 to WBE, you know what think about Captain Lou Albano and the stuff they did with Cyndi Lauper and the way they built that up. They didn't have to do it with profanity. They didn't have to do it it was the story that was so enticing. It made you want to see what Lou Albano was going to do the next week and what Cyndi Lauper was going to do. And then when they finally put it on with Roddy Piper, and it was so good. No profanity had to be done because they built it up so well. Tremendous stuff. If you've not seen it, go back and see it.
It's absolute true talent. Louis Albano. I mean, just hand me the microphone and he could talk for the next hour. I mean, Roddy Piper, same way. Wrestling too. Ole could. He depends on what he's doing, what his purpose was out there. He could talk, be very convincing in his just regular speech, and then you knew when he was mad because he was hollering. You could hear him all over the place. But just tremendous. Harley Race, another just legitimate when he was doing his interviews. Not the greatest of interview of all time, but what he did say meant a lot because of the way his delivery for sure. Ken Patera was a great talker. Jesse Ventura. They were just awesome people, and this was not scripted. This was not contrived. These were great professionals and just tremendously talented people. And like I said, no scripts. They basically got a basic idea what they were talking about, and they went with it. Just awesome. Bobby Heenan, another one, just brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Lou Albano had the PEG principle: politeness, etiquette, and grooming.
That's correct.
That was the three things that he always wanted you to understand.
Well, Nick Bockwinkel, one of the most articulate people on TV. I mean, can you imagine him using profanity on TV? I don't think so. It just takes away. I get it. You know, Paul Heyman and ECW made a living off from it, and then Vince stole its concept. You know, but I just don't. It's going to be very disappointing, and it's like I said, they'll change their demographic. It'll be a younger audience for sure, and then the ones, some of the other ones that they haven't totally turned off, they'll turn them off and they'll decide to go watch something else. The great team right here, Jason Mundy.
Yes, Jack and Jerry Briscoe also, if it had anything to do with Georgia Championship Wrestling, something being sold, Jack and Jerry Briscoe had something to do with it.
That's right. Right now, they're trying. Right now, Jerry is trying to figure out how he can get to the Wrestling Hall of Fame there to get all that stuff, and then have the flea market somewhere and sell it all.
Mako, what's causing all this? It was the jumping in the parking lot. That was what was causing all this.
Okay, let's get the story on this, because where does this happen? Was it in was it on a TV show, or was it just a video? Was there?
I don't know. All I saw was the beating. I don't know.
They did a 2-part video series that pushed the first one, pushed the upcoming card itself, and then I believe the second one actually has the jumping in the parking lot type
deal. I just saw the beating in the parking lot. That's all I saw. Part of it shouldn't be that way, but sad it is. From Christian McMillan, Bristol or Ralph
Romaine.
Hey guys, hope y'all had a great show. I hope you have a great show. Hey, old man Jack. Very nice of you.
That's okay. Next time I see Bristol, I'm killing him.
My question is, which U.S. title did the original NWA recognize? The Sheik's title, the Mid-Atlantic title, or the West Coast LaBelle Shire U.S. champion? I would think it was more the Mid-Atlantic version of the United States.
I would like to say yes. They acknowledged all of them. It's true.
Yeah, they all came in and out of NWA territory.
Yeah, I mean they were, that was the truth.
Specific one, you're probably right though. It was the Mid-Atlantic that became the one.
Well, that was the one was the one Georgia recognized, and the one that Florida recognized. But they're right. The Sheik, if you're not, Nick Gulas recognized him as the U.S. champion.
Yes. And maybe Evans the world heavyweight champion. We don't know what
it could have. It could have happened. And the Sheik, he might have had the Sheik Junior on some of those cards.
and that was what's his name? Oh man, it's not coming to me right now. His father was Saul Wondroff. What was George Weingroff was the Sheik Junior, probably.
Should be the Sheik Junior, yes. Yeah.
The most fit guy I was ever in the ring with. Oh,
tremendous
my God.
Man.
I would love to get George on so we can talk about not only his career, but his father's as well, because you're talking about a stellar career, one of the great managers in wrestling, Saul Weingroff. And I believe a great wrestler as well.
Evening, guys. Hope all is well. Christopher Hughes is with us. Now we're going to Dr. Phil Grice. Do you think TV 14 will be ratings for WWE? We talked about that. No, we do not. And we'll tell it again, Jack.
You might have an initial bump just for people tuning in to see what they're going to do. But if there's not a huge, significant change, they're going to go back to the same numbers they're always.
Well, my understanding is they're putting together a brand new match. It involves porta potties. They're going to put 4 porta potties inside the ring in each corner. And the way they win the match, there's going to be 5 different people in the ring. So they're going to take and throw them in the porta potty, and then they're going to lock the door. And then it'll continue until there's only one man. And as you know, it sounds like a lot of crap to me.
I think Rodney took a long time to do that and come up with that one. That was an old.
No, it was just right then. I can imagine.
Get a porta potty with Goldust one time.
Oh, did they? Well,
yeah. Now that was just a single porta potty though. So I like.
Well, we're going to have 4. They're going to be used. So when
they should line the inside of the ring with them. That way the fans don't have to be subjected to what they do.
That's true.
I was telling someone today, Monday, we had a horrible crowd show up at a market that we were at.
You had a turn away crowd.
Yeah, we had a turn away crowd, and I said, years ago, we used to Dutch Mantel used to say this. He said, listen, I think we need to do a new marketing plan. He said, we can't get the people in right now, so I think what we need to do, he said, we need to let all of them in free, and then make them pay to get out. He says, I believe that's
make a fortune. Some of those shows definitely could have made a fortune.
Create a new WCW. I believe if they could do that, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe if you go back, we've always said this.
Let's think about what you just said about, and I Charles, that we're not trying to disagree with you, but think about what you just said about CSI, Brent. Wasn't a new show. It was a retread. They've just brought something back from the dead, and they're trying to draw with it. It's kind of like getting that old Big Mac they have locked up for years and years and years and trying to serve it.
Well, and nothing would change because it would still be run the same way that all WWE programming is run.
I agree.
Richard Hood said he's going to welcome pro wrestler Christian McMillan to the podcast.
All right.
Thank you so much. Good to have you here with us, Christian. We hope we don't say nothing to hurt anybody's feelings. We're just playing. Well, somewhat. We're playing about some aspect because there's some good wrestlers out there. But boy, you know what it is? We never see the good stuff. We always see the crap that's going on.
Well,
Nobody's
I'm
quite with
going to
anything
be
good.
looking forward to find out who this Zeus Dragon is. He's let's read this stuff here.
Zeus Dragon says, I had a conspiracy theory that Vince and Stephanie are actors and the real McMahon family is and has been hidden from public for decades. Any proof of this? We
Well,
wanted to do an angle.
I don't know if they need to be saved.
You know, we told them they needed to do an angle years ago about that. We had talked to somebody. We said
Yes.
they needed to do the angle that Vince McMahon comes up missing. And then when he comes up missing, they're trying to find out where he is. They're trying to figure out where he is. And all the old NWA promoters, Bill Watts, everybody's got something to do with him missing. And they bring back all them old promoters. And they say, well, wasn't you the promoter in Mid-South Wrestling back years ago? And then you gotta explain to them who it was. And eventually you have the old NWA promoters against Vince McMahon in their own little territory. And we thought that would have been a good way to bring in new talent. But let's see. As you see, Zeus, we didn't even say anything about that. We don't. This is a good one, though.
It's a very good. Well, I went a long way with the Portalets match, so and don't be surprised.
We had already said Sean Smith said we're going to get the puppies back. So.
That's right.
I don't know that they will, though. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think the women will go for it. I just don't, and really should they? I just don't know if they should. I'm going to have to turn this off, but Dennis Mitchell said, hi from Montgomery, Alabama, guys. The ratings won't make a difference. Tony Khan needs a haircut.
He does.
Get a flat top. He's got some hair, don't he? Man, that boy's got some hair.
I hate him.
Yeah. When Rodney was behind the scenes at WCW outside the South, which fans did they interfere with wrestlers like to get to the ring? No. I can answer that question. Rodney, you can go ahead and answer the question there, but no, that didn't happen.
I really didn't know what the question was. I'm sorry.
Well, he actually asked, while we was at World Championship Wrestling, we did developmental deals. Did anybody ever attack any?
No, there was nobody over for them to do that with. It's true. There was nobody over. I mean, you have to have people to have that kind of connection with the wrestlers, so that the point where they're so mad they jump in the ring. There was no connection with developmental people.
We didn't draw one night at one of the WCW developmental towns, and they asked us, "So, well, why didn't you draw?" And we told them, "So, well, first of all, nobody knew anybody on the card, and the main event was Cactus Jack against what was that guy? I can't remember the guy. Max Payne. Max Payne gets Cactus Jack in the main event, and you wonder why nobody paid to see it.
Yeah, Max Payne and Johnny B. Bad. They stunk up many a town.
They did, and then Van Hammer. There's a guy now that looks like Van Hammer. Do you know who this guy is, Jack? I think he works for NWA, maybe. I don't know. But there's a guy looks just like him and has the whole. Don't he know? Don't use that gimmick because it didn't get over for Van Hammer.
They're trying to rewrite history, or better yet, they don't know their history.
That's true. That's true. Dr. Philbo Grice, I'm going to say this because it all won't fit on here. So I think believing more profanity will make up for an otherwise average product. He's like labeling someone who only tells dirty jokes a great comedian. The worst comedian could tell dirty jokes and get a laugh and have no talent. Man, that's true. That's true. Christopher Hughes said, welcome, Christian. Everybody must know this Christian but us. Yeah, but hey, don't feel bad about Christian because we don't know any new wrestlers unless you're on WWE or Ring of Honor. So
I want to ask you a question. Did you notice that they put the Money in the Bank on Theory? Is that right? And I have to admit, that green case go with his green very well. I have to admit that. At one time when he was out there and he had it on his shoulders, couldn't figure out which one was which. It was terrible. It was absolutely. Had to adjust my screen. Waited till he moved because his green and that green went together. Come bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I actually slowed it down and turned the sound on. Woo!
Bathroom Becky. Are they trying to talk about Bathroom Becky real quick? Are they trying to do an angle, Jack? And I don't know, Rodney, you might have seen this too, but they said something about uh, Riddle said something about Becky's booty or something. What is that all about? They trying to make an angle out of that, or is
Yep.
is this true?
Yeah, I understand. I don't know if it's true or not. I don't know if it's set up.
But why would
I,
it care? Why would it matter?
well, because what they're doing on TV don't matter. So I guess they're taking it in their own hands and trying to do something on social media.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't get it. Is Bathroom Becky something like a more will? We're just losing
That,
all.
I'll tell you right now, Christopher, you went across the line. Seth's going to be looking for you.
That's right. He'll
That's
be
right,
upset
right
with
there.
you.
He'll be upset with you, and next thing you know, he's going to be putting a stomp on you.
Hey,
whatever he does.
let me ask you. Somebody today said that the people who are making the outfits and stuff for some of the wrestlers are the same person that made stuff for Captain Kangaroo. Is it true? Is that the same?
Well, that
was my name.
Oh, that was him.
It's made the rounds today.
Hey, Brent, he's got the same team right there. Kevin Penley, number 18, Heart Foundation.
The Heart Foundation. I thought they were so good together. They were, and they were so good together that Jim the Anvil Neidhart got lost without Bret Hart. He just got lost in the shuffle. They were that good together. Bret Hart was a little step above as far as his abilities in the ring, but Jim the Anvil Neidhart, man, he made you believe. When he came in, he did the power moves. He did the stuff. Man, he was so good. And if you have not seen the picture of Natalie and her sister, you're missing something. So make sure you find that somewhere. Have you seen this, Jack? Rodney, have you seen this yet?
No, I missed it.
Well, if you hadn't seen it, it'd be well worth any insiders to get over there and see that picture. It's well worth your time. So get over there. Kevin Penley, it's on Facebook, Jack. The video. I'm guessing what we talked about.
Talking about the Ric Flair.
The parking lot incident. The parking lot incident. Yes.
It just.
Yeah.
I have not been enticed.
Yes.
To watch it, and if after tonight's conversation, nothing has changed.
Charles Bellflower, Toru Tanaka, and Michelle Fuji. You must suffer.
Suffer. Yes.
You'll
Like
suffer
the
really
victims
bad. I shouldn't say that. I'll get in trouble.
That's
how he talked. That's how he talked. I didn't talk that way. That's how he talked.
I understand he cooks a good dog as well.
That's what I heard.
We'll get that.
Wendy Harkins, rest in peace. Cynthia Heenan. Is that the
Bobby Heenan's wife passed away? I think.
Oh man, I always loved Bobby Heenan. Oh, he was
tremendous talent, and no matter what he did, he was awesome.
My number 18, Wendy Harkins, gives us to Jimmy Golden and Brian Lee, or the Underfaker. For those people who don't know, that's what Brian called.
I think I think Brian Lee. Jimmy was, you can't say anything about Jimmy. Jimmy was awesome, but Brian Lee was a missed opportunity. He could have been a big star. Really, I think there was so much potential there.
I agree. And on a side note about the Undertaker thing, A&E's got that new series that's back on where they're doing the documentary on their lives, and they did the Undertaker last week, and they showed some clips from Memphis where Undertaker and Brian Lee, before he was Undertaker, of course, but were on camera together, and my daughter was so enthralled when she found out that Brian Lee was the fake Undertaker. She never knew they had met before. Now, everybody's met everybody in this business, pretty much.
Happy birthday, Hoot, from Christopher Hughes. Kevin Penley, y'all are all older than me. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate those kind of sentiments. I had a birthday last week. I'm 54 for the 10th straight year. Victor Nash.
Were good to us.
Hello, all. Hope is well from Victor Nash. Victor, thank you so much. Victor is a big supporter of our channel, and we certainly do appreciate it. Dennis Mitchell, Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2, and the original Assassins were great tag teams. Yes. Mr. Wrestling 1 and 2 was one of the first matches I remember as a kid. That's the first match I ever remember was Wrestling 1 and 2 against Ole and Gene Anderson. I'm pretty sure it was at the Sports Arena in Atlanta. I don't believe it was the Omni. I don't believe it was Atlanta City Auditorium. I truly believe it was the Sports Arena. It just seems to me that's what it was. And I just remember the mask being pulled, and they pulled that mask like it was all the way across the ring. And two come back and whip them all. I think he even whipped Tim Woods that night. He got too close to him, and he whipped him as well. So that's how Wrestling 2 was. You pull his mask, he's going to beat up everybody in the ring. They had that thing built up so tremendous, didn't they?
Yeah, well, it was two, and he was rightfully he protected his mask. I mean, when you're going and you're even in the dressing room and you refuse to take it off, you're getting a shower and you refuse to take it off. I mean, he protected, no doubt.
Yeah, I was on a lot of cards with him. Shared a lot of dressing rooms. Never once saw him for that.
For some reason, Jack, your sound has went down for some reason.
I haven't touched him.
Because it's only going to the number one thing for some reason. I don't know what's happened, but hey, here's a new one for us. Never before have we heard from this person. Weed and wrestling. If Joe Biden was a wrestler, would that make him George the Animal Steel?
The thing about booking, if he was a wrestler, the thing about booking him is he never would be ever wrestle in one match because he could never find his way to the town.
Hey, talking about that, Iron Mike Sharp drove around Atlanta, Georgia, the bypass of Atlanta, Georgia, all night.
285.
285. Never could figure out how to get off get off that 285 to get to the town. And I think it was like Carrollton or something. And he never made the show. He came in the next day and Dad said, "Where were you?" He said, "Well, I drove around. I never could find out how to get off of there." And so he just drove around on that. Yeah, I wonder how he did that and didn't take a shower during that time, or did he stop every time he couldn't get there and find a motel? And
he stopped and asked directions.
had to
wash his hands. Well, until he went in to see the bathroom and he saw how dirty it was, he said, "Never mind. I'm okay with that."
Cleanest man in professional wrestling, Iron Mike Sharp, or what we called him, Rusty Mike Dahl. That's what we call him. Bruiser Brody and Stan Hansen from Charles Alford. Yes. The video of Tully tearing Flair's clothes off in front of Wall, who was priceless, from Mickey Mayfield. Richard Hood said hello to Donnie Hester. Kevin Penley said, what was the Titus Neal opening for Raw about? A PR stunt? Jack, I don't know. I did not see it.
Yeah, I think that was damage control.
Rodney, did you see it?
I did, but I didn't hear a word he said. I saw it, but I didn't hear a word he said.
All right,
I have to admit, he seemed to get a good response, and then he was also doing something with WWE about raising, I think, school supplies. I think as well. I think he was participating in that.
All right. So here we go. Charles Alford, not necessary at all. Flair didn't get Cynthia. It looked like the Four Horsemen Dusty Angle again. Yes, I was thinking the same thing, Charles. I said, couldn't I do something original? I don't know. What was the embarrassing part of me is Ric Flair and his little penny loafers and no socks. I thought that was just thinking, man, what he just goes everywhere now and doesn't wear any socks. But you'll have to watch it. You'll enjoy it.
My question is this. Don't you think they kind of give it to people for free? Kind of gave them, they touched each other. Kind of, did you not think that they kind of took away from that initial time when Flair will actually make contact in the ring? I think it took away from it.
I just don't know why they needed to do it. It was not necessary. It's his last match. People are if they're going to buy it, they're going to buy it. It wouldn't matter what they did. I don't know how spicing it up would have helped, but the Killer Bees.
Why
we
did it?
can
If ticket sales were going well, why would you need to spice it?
Well, the thing about it is Jay Lethal thought he should have been the tag team partner of Ric Flair. I believe that's how they did it. I think that was the whole deal, that he trained him and
Well-
everything, and then he just left him like he didn't even get him. He couldn't even be on the card. I believe was the whole thing. So
Well, next time he needs to marry Flair's daughter, and then he might be able to be his partner.
my number 20 tag team is the Super Destroyers, the Long Riders. Scott and Bill Irwin, tremendous.
Yes, they were.
Tremendous.
Absolutely.
I
great.
did not like the Superplex. I did not like that. I did not even as a kid, which would have been what, 1980? Is that the year of 1981? Super Destroyer would have been in Atlanta. I didn't like it because it didn't seem. I remember even back then saying that this doesn't seem like that could actually happen. And even back then, I think they were starting to do things that didn't make any sense by then. And then they wonder why Georgia Championship Wrestling may have took a nosedive a little bit. It was not believable. For a guy to sit there and let them put them on top of it just made no sense. So it was starting then. It was not. And we argued about it as kids. I would have been about 11 years old. Let's see. Tommy could help pack a building and cause the roof to come off for the roar of the crowd. Yes, he could, Wendy. Ain't no doubt. Rick Brooks goes way back to the Von Breiners. I don't know that I ever seen them wrestle. Rodney, you ever seen any of their matches?
It's possible that I did, but it would be it was just very brief, and I could have them because it was back then things were kind of fuzzy. I'm not sure that it might have had a mistaken for somebody else, but from what we heard, they were an awesome tag team. Drew
Jack, did you ever
everywhere they
still-
went.
Didn't they work for Goulas at some point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw them there.
I just noticed something here. Patricia Billy Brooks, she is a milestone follower.
Wow.
Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Thank you so much for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside. I just seen that. I never really have noticed that before, because I don't think I get on Facebook itself and read through the things. And I've been looking through it today, and we'll try to do that on people who have milestones and subscribers and stuff in the future. And then thank you so much for supporting us. Richard Hood, Thunderbolt would say, if I could say what I want to say.
That's right. That's right.
That was Thunderbolt Patterson, though. That same Thunderbolt Patterson was the same guy that got mad in the dressing room. He would do the same thing. I mean, he was just Tommy Rich is like Lawler, never seen the inside of a gym. Yeah, I don't think Tommy ever went to the gym.
Well, there was that brief period in WCW when he was working babyface, and they told him to get in the gym, and Tommy got in fantastic shape.
He did.
And
Yes, he
I
did.
remember him telling me, because once they turned him heel, he just quit. And he told me, he said that was the most fun of my life, was not having to go to the gym anymore, because I figured I'm a heel, I should look like a heel, flat, fat, and slobby. And I thought, well, you nailed it.
No doubt.
Not only did he nail it, but you remember when he was the Masked Mr. R and they had to put Tolo's suit on him because he had blustered up a little bit. But I think Tommy Rich could have drew money again at that point in time, but Ole Anderson left and got mad at Jim Herd and left. And a lot of people would like to blame Ole Anderson for a lot of things, but I was there once in the office. I was sitting in the office and Jim Ross was there. I was there and my father was sitting at his desk, and we heard Ole Anderson cussing Jim Herd out. I mean, he was cussing him like a dog. I mean, he was telling him, this business is a work. Don't you under... I mean, he was cussing. And all once we heard, what, pow! And I thought at first, I looked over at Jim. I said, did Ole just slam him? Did he just slam Jim Herd in some, like outside the window or something? Because you overlooked, the offices overlooked the CNN Center, so it overlooked where the Wendy's was. I'm thinking, maybe he threw him out there. No, he just slammed the door, came through the office, all that, and said, "That's stupid." He said, "Don't understand one." I knew right then that was not going to last. I was supposed to do the voiceovers. I knew it wasn't going to happen. when Tony Schiavone took me down there, and he was such a. I wouldn't even go and say what he was, but he was not a nice person.
If you could only say what you wanted to say.
This is
If I
true.
could just, for a moment, just say what I want to say. Ooh.
Richard, about Thunderbolt, he was awesome. Yes, he was. I think he's 80 years old now. Thunderbolt Patterson.
Wow.
Kevin Penley. Tommy Rich was Hulk Hogan before there was a Hulk Hogan. They were on the same shows, and who got let go? Yes, Sterling Golden got let go. And goes to Southeastern Championship Wrestling. Becomes the Southeastern Heavyweight Champion. And then Bob Armstrong, I think, defeats him for that title when they found out that at that point in time, he really didn't know what he was doing. So he had just started, though. So he did wrestle for a while, then stopped, and then came back. So you got to give him.
I don't think he really started coming into his own until he was under Vern Gagne.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
A lot out of him, but Vern was never going to make him the champion because the guy was not a legitimate wrestler.
Yeah, that's true. I believe what really helps a wrestler on the mic is how believable they are. Harley wasn't the best promo guy, but he said he was going to kick your butt, and you believed it because you knew what he was all about. Christopher Hughes, I agree. Do y'all agree with that?
Yes.
100%.
They need to get back to great interviews, face-to-face arguments like the old times. Well, they do have a lot of face-to-faces.
That was something I was going to ask about. I think they've overdone that to the point where it doesn't mean anything. Every time somebody comes up with a microphone, you know there's going to be an interruption. Every single time. Maybe one day I would just throw a monkey wrench in the whole thing and let an interview go without an interruption. People would be calling the TV station. They'd be calling the office saying, what happened? Was somebody supposed to come out?
Well, one day, Jack's going to be sitting there doing his thing. I'm going to walk through his door, and I won't interrupt him. That's just going to happen. It's going to take me a long time to get
Personally, I am thoroughly enjoying Veer Mahan, who they have pushed as this monster and has for 2 weeks in a row done an interview where he simply stands there, looks at the interviewer, and goes, boo.
That's entertainment right there.
So he's playing peekaboo with these people now. Sean Smith. Sean Smith says the Tower of Porta Potties match.
That's right. That'll be wonderful.
What was that Punjabi cage match or whatever they had a few years ago in WWE where the cage, you couldn't even follow what was going on in the ring. And I thought it was wonderful because the match was
horrible. The Porta Potty match. Charles Alford. Christopher Hughes. Back in the day, wrestlers had a resume, so to speak. I would agree with that. They did. Right. They actually did have a resume. You knew they could kick butt and could really wrestle because their past action activities told us that they had what it took. Today, they are just brought on TV and pushed. Let's see. Let's see if I can get that pushed. And it's like, who is this? Yes, I agree with that. And I believe that's the reason they're going to the Who's Next deal, and they're trying to get all athletes. So they have something they can talk about of something they actually did. Not a guy that said, oh, we brought him into the wrestling school and we taught him everything he needed to know, and then he sucked. And I think that's they want to talk about this is what they did. This is who they are. And I don't know that they're going to let them use their own names. I still don't think that's going to happen. So I don't know really how do you do that when you don't let them use their real name. So I don't. Maybe you. There's a guy in NXT that looks like Van Hammer. That's who I'm talking. All right, that's
Von
the
Wagner. Okay.
That guy, what in the world? That gimmick didn't get over. The guy ordered the merchandise. Didn't ask nobody. Didn't get with nobody. And they didn't ask him anything. And so Van Hammer they thought he was going to be. Them people thought he was going to be the big star. The guy that ordered the merchandise. He ordered millions of Hammer blow up guitars, and they had to give them things away every night. The first 500 people, the first 1,000 people. If you stand outside, we'll give them to you. It didn't matter. They wanted to get rid of them things. What in the world?
You remember the Beverly Brothers? I think
Yeah.
Bo
Yeah.
Beverly is the dad of Von Wagner.
Oh well, he's probably a good wrestler, but why put that gimmick? How many people?
Yeah, I don't like the gimmick, but the guy is pretty good.
Why did they put these gimmicks? Because they've had 3 or 4 people playing the guitar there. What in the world's going on there?
There's talk about bringing him to the main roster very very soon, as well as the Usos' younger brother, Soa. I can't remember his name. Fans, if you're watching it, you'll know. He's in NXT now.
Did Bobby Roode get his pink slip?
Not yet.
Patricia Billy Brooks said, "Tell Robert Gibson a big happy birthday today." One of the greatest tag teams, Robert Gibson, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson did not get the credit he deserved. Go back, watch the tapes, watch the video. You'll see how good Robert Gibson was. And just Ricky Morton had such a personality that he overdid. Man, go back and watch it, like we watched Tully Blanchard, like we see Nikita Koloff. And you'll see how good Robert Gibson really is. I wonder how clean Iron Mike Sharp was when he got into it with Billy Jack Haynes. He told him probably halfway through, whoa. Wait, I got to go take a shower. We'll come back. We'll finish this in just a moment. I would say Billy Jack Haynes. I don't know Mike Sharp, but I would say Billy Jack Haynes probably kick his tail. I mean, he goes, that man's just legitimately crazy. I think he was crazy then. If you've not watched his interviews, you've got to go see them. They are well worth it. He'll keep you glued to stuff that he says, the stuff that he talks about. They should write a story on him, a CSI story about Billy Jack Haynes. I don't know if it's true or not, but man, he's got a great imagination. Why is Dolph Ziggler still in the WWE from Greg Reeves?
Because he is one of their most dependable go-to guys.
I guess he does what he's saying. Rodney?
Greg, I ask the same question week after week myself.
Gregory, I like Dolph Ziggler. I think he's a good wrestler. I think it's just his. I think they did him wrong. I think he could have drew money, and they just did him wrong. Rock and Sock Connection was a good tag team. Yeah, they were good. They were good. I believe, my personal opinion, I believe that Mick Foley helped The Rock get over. I think he could be also another one of the people that see, when you're looking at the people who get people over, I believe he did help him over. Just the stuff that he would do. 222. This Wrestling 2, the most believable wrestler to me. When he got man on the mic, you listened. Because he never hollered unless he was mad.
Still it's time.
Yep. He knew the. My number 19 is the Rat Pack. That would have probably been what, Ted DiBiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and Matt Bourne. I never saw those tapes. I've never seen any of those tapes from that time frame. Wendy Harkins, Von Wagner, and Solo Sakia was backstage at SmackDown Friday night, and they got into an altercation. So Wendy's watching she's watching SmackDown now.
Yeah, I must be. I hadn't known. I wasn't paying attention.
Well, I missed them. I didn't see them on there.
Christopher Hughes said, if Robert Roode did get his pink slip, it's a shame. So much talent, maybe not as good as he once was, but he never had been used right. Yeah, I don't think he did. He reminds me so much of Kurt Hennig, and Dolph is another waste of talent. And I thought so myself. I thought they could draw some money, but they beat him so much that he's just now just a joke. And that's that is.
You just saw it on our Google
feed. No, just saw it on my Google feed. All right, I got you. I did not watch it either. I did not have time to watch it on YouTube, but I am going to get back to watching some YouTube. I will have some time. A couple of the projects that I had kind of did what most projects do. It went down the hill. A lot of wrestling companies now are going down. We see going on in the world of wrestling now. It's just a hard business. Anything that you do is a hard.
Well, yeah, that's that MLW. What is it? They've said that they're done until September, what I understand. But they're talking about doing some house shows coming up.
Well,
women are. Go ahead.
They have some kind of new TV deal too, and that's one of the reasons why they're going on
So they're to get ready for the TV. And then, of course, I saw the Women of Wrestling was back on. And then Jesse Ventura. I don't know if you've heard from Jesse in a while, but Jesse is back. And he says that he doesn't really like today's product at all. He says it's just no rules. And he's got a point. There are no rules.
Well, we want to thank everybody for being a part of Pro Wrestling Inside Now. And for those of you who give us stars, you can give us stars if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you so much. We certainly do appreciate it. For those people who are subscribers of our channel, stay tuned. We're going to do something very special for all our subscribers. If you're a subscriber, we're going to do a special show just for you. And we're going to talk about things that we wouldn't talk on here about to the subscribers. And it'll be right now, it'll be a very small, I think we have 20 or 30 subscribers. So it'll be really good. You'll be able to come on there and we're going to talk about things that we wouldn't talk about here. But stay tuned. A lot of things going on. We are going to, in the next couple of months, we got some things we're going to do. And if you give us stars, that money's going to be used to keep on going to that next level that we want to take Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. So thank you so much for your help. Jack, anything before we leave?
Still got shirts for wrestling.
Yes, and folks, our actually Teespring shop will also be having some new stuff on it as well. We've got some new T-shirts designs that we have finally found the time to be able to get that on. We should be able to get it on this week. And Rodney, anything got to say before we leave?
I think that next week that they should give Austin Theory a brown suitcase to run around with. I think that's more his kind. He could be one of the brown bombers from way back. Oh, you're the brown bomber.
The bomber.
Thank y'all so much, and we'll see everybody next week right here on Pro Wrestling Inside and Out, and maybe in the next 2 days, I might jump on here just for very briefly and on Wednesday and Thursday and talk to some everybody about just little small things going on in Pro Wrestling Inside Out. Until then, we will see everybody next week as we continue our look at pro wrestling and what's going on today and what happened in the past of professional wrestling. We'll see everybody next week.